Hi, everyone. Welcome to Prevention Education, the podcast that teaches you everything about prevention. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast. I'm Kylie. I'm a prevention specialist for the prevention department at Preferred Family Healthcare. And today I have April with me. So, April, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm April Dobrinsky. I'm a prevention specialist at Preferred Family Healthcare also. I've been in prevention now for a couple of years, and I just enjoy working in my service area and I enjoy learning something new every day because it happens every single day.
Yeah, and April is such a joy to have in this department. We've been kind of working on the same grants throughout our time in prevention, so I've
Yeah,
been
we
very
actually have.
lucky to be with April this whole time, which is wild.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to our old podcasts, April and I did those. So hop on over to those podcasts so you can listen to us talk about some other tips and tricks on, I guess, talk about prevention in our community as well. So, yeah. Cool. So this time around, we're going to be talking about youth involvement in our community. And there's a lot of way that youth can become involved, whether it's with coalitions or with our department or just like starting something at their school potentially. So do you just want to kind of give a little overview of what exactly youth involvement is?
Yeah. So whenever we think of prevention, we always try to think of how can we reach the younger population. 'Cause that's what we want to focus on. Well, it's important to get that prevention message to everybody, but we really try to focus in on those young ages. So elementary school, high school, even college ages,
Yeah.
getting those messages out there. We have a lot of community coalitions because that's primarily what my job is, to work with community coalitions within my 9 counties. But as a prevention whole, we serve the 27 counties. So a lot of our groups have missions to reach the younger populations, whether it's going into schools to do some sort of school-based prevention curriculum, or whether it's doing alternative activities. So whether it's in the school or in the communities, typically youth are the base of prevention. And
Yeah.
we are really pushing to get some youth-led groups in our service areas, whether those are school-based or whether those are community-based, because we we fully think that youth are going to learn best from their peers, from
Yeah.
youth, from people that they see every day, and they know what I'm going through, and they know how to reach me and talk about things that I genuinely care about.
Yeah.
Because while we're not like super old in prevention, but they might think, why is this girl coming and talking to me when I could have somebody my own age come and,
Exactly.
yeah, talk to me and talk about things that I care about and they care about, and you share that connection.
Yeah, and it definitely makes the impact more sustainable in the community if it's coming
Mhm.
from a youth's perspective. And if so say you're 16 and you are really passionate about stopping use of vapes in your community. That coming from a 16-year-old, you have your entire life if you choose to stay in that community, to make a difference. And that can really impact not only the youth, but that can motivate the adults to see like the youth are trying to make a difference. Let me help them. And that can motivate the people under, if so, say the example is still 16 years old, that can motivate the younger generation as well to be like, that's a really good role model in the community. I want to be like them and I want to have the same stances as them and be a positive person in our community. And so that's huge. Like youth have so much potential in communities that I don't think people really realize most of the time.
Absolutely. And there's actually like that exact thing, is what happened in the Chillicothe community. We have a coalition called the Vape Free Kids Coalition, and that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened. A middle schooler decided, my friends are vaping. I'm seeing people vape in my community, and I don't like this. I want to make a change. So she formed this coalition. She is a registered SAD group now. She has her
Yeah.
friends and a group of people that help her. And a group of adults that help support her and back her. But that's exactly what happened. She's like, I want to make a difference for my friends and for my school. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's happening. It's
Yeah.
happening every day.
Yeah. And I think it's a huge point to make that if you are some youthful individual, a younger individual in your community, I don't know how to say that. If you're a younger person in your community and you want to start making a difference, you don't have to do it by yourself. Like you can, of course, advocate for yourself. You can start having conversations with your peers of like, hey, I found this really cool research article on this, and this is why like you should stop drinking at a young age, or this is why you should stop smoking or stop vaping. Like that's really great if you're doing things like that as a youth. But also, you don't have to do any of this on your own. And that's why we're here as a department to help people kind of navigate the world of coalitions. And then also, like I kind of said earlier, if adults see that a younger individual is passionate about something in their community, they want to hop on and help them too. And so it's not just a 16-year-old trying to figure out the world by themselves. Like we're here to help you, and adults in your community are also here to help you through the change that you're trying to make in your community, which is huge.
Yeah, that in our 3C power and partnership prevent or coalition that we have with that serves Davies, Caldwell, and DeKalb counties. That's what happened. Honestly, the adults didn't realize really how big of a problem vaping was
Yeah.
until the coalition invited these students to tell them, like, hey, what do you see going on in your schools? What do you see going on in your communities? And they all said mental health and vaping. And whether
Yeah.
those have a direct correlation, or some of them said there was a direct correlation, like, oh, we're doing this to vape with our, or to vape, to cope with our anxiety and our depression. And
Hmm.
so they found out through talking directly to youth, so that is a problem in our community. And so as an adult, they were like, what can we do to support our youth?
Yeah.
They're seeing it's a problem and they want to make changes. So what can we do to support them?
Exactly. And if, say, you're in a community and the youth aren't necessarily involved in your community, is a way that you can kind of get feedback from them surveys. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
that something big that prevention uses?
Yeah, definitely. It can be a formal survey. It can be just verbally asking. Those are all really good ways to maybe you have an alternative community event for youth in your town or county or whatever. That's a really good time to be like, hey, we're going to give out a little survey just asking, what do you think are issues that we should work on in your area? What are
Yeah.
some things that you want to work on? What are some issues that you see? So definitely any way that you can gather that data and talk to people directly are all very positive ways to start that, to start those goals and missions and trying to make those positive changes.
Yeah. What are some events that you think could happen in communities to get more youth involved in these changes?
Well, one of the events that it happened, oh, I think back in February, that has been near and dear to my heart, was the student symposium, actually, that one of our coalitions put on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so amazing because it directly invited those youth to come and they got to actually design a project that they wanted to work on in their schools. And some of that was maybe putting positive messaging in the bathrooms, like in the
Hmm.
bathroom stalls or on the mirrors, or coming up with some sort of coping kit that students can go and get in the classroom when they feel like they need it, like they're getting a little anxious.
Yeah.
Some pretty neat things that some of our coalitions have done. One of them did an escape room. So Escape the Vape
Oh, that's so
was
fun.
their theme. Yeah, and they did like an escape room just to kind of bring awareness and get students involved, and the community loved that.
Yeah.
Let me think of anything else. Just different alternative events. I feel like it's easier to reach the like elementary and junior high crowd as opposed to the high school crowd
Yeah.
because almost anybody in prevention, anybody in education or anybody that's
Mm-hmm.
ever dealt with a teenager
Yeah, yeah,
will tell you that it is a little difficult to reach those high school students because by then they have, like, that's not cool. I don't want to go to that event, or
yeah,
I want to do my own thing and I don't want to do what you're telling me to do. But
exactly. Yeah, so that's why reaching high schoolers, trying to get into the schools that way, whether it's like an assembly or
mhm,
popping into a class and just doing a little lesson on prevention. I think that's kind of the best way you can reach high schoolers. Yeah, they still might think, I'm too cool for this, I'm not going to listen. But they have to be there. They're sitting in their chairs and they're listening, whether they know it or not. And so that's one of the best ways. And then hopefully it just becomes a snowball effect of you reach one of them and then they go to their friend group and it's like, hey, did you remember this message? Or what did you think about this? And then the conversations are starting and
mhm.
then they can get a little more involved. So it might take time, but I mean, hopefully the community will start to see how important these changes are. And then all the students can get involved. And that's the goal, right? Like to make every youth
Mhm.
in the community passionate about making a change in a positive way. But that's not always going to be, that's the perfect world, of course, but it's just one younger individual can make a huge difference in their community. Just one. What did you think?
Yeah. And sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel either.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as reaching out to a student council group. Because
Yes.
a lot of the time, student council, that's your leaders, typically your leaders of the school. So they're already doing some of these like when I was in high school and I was on student council, we were in charge of the Arrive Alive project, which was
Okay.
just like 1 week out of the year, I think we checked, make sure people were wearing their seatbelts, and then we put, just did little activities throughout that week. And sometimes, your student council, they put some of those things on. So those have also become some of our registered SAD groups, Students
Yeah.
Against Destructive Decisions, because they're already doing those prevention things without even realizing it. So those
Yeah.
prevention efforts are happening. They're just not necessarily as in your face as some prevention efforts might be, but they're
Yeah.
happening in our schools and our communities.
Yeah. They're just also not labeled prevention. But if you
Yes.
think about it, you're preventing people from doing something. So it's prevention. Yeah. I've never heard of a school doing that. So that's great that your school did that. And I mean, it's a smaller school, but I'm sure a lot more people like started buckling up and started making smarter decisions. So that's really great that your school did that. I love that. Well, to kind of bring this all together at the end, I just wanted to throw in that if you're someone listening to this, whether you're 15, 16, or you're 40 plus, there are a lot of funding opportunities that you can get to start a coalition, start making a bigger impact in your community. And if you ever have questions about any of that, or if you want to start something, feel free to reach out to us. Our email is moprevention@pfh.org. If you go to our website, it's pfh.org/prevention. And if you go to the staff page, you can message April directly, you can message me directly, you can message any of us directly if you have any questions, and we would absolutely love to answer them. And if you're in our 27 county service area, we would love to try to get something started in your community. So, yeah, just as a final note from you, April, if you could leave the listeners with one thing about youth involvement, what would it be?
Um, Go for it and think outside of the box.
Yes.
We've got to kind of think of crazy, sometimes what feels crazy, but different ways that we can be interactive and fun and just different, to try to get that message out there and get youth excited and pumped and ready to go and ready to make a difference.
Yeah, I think that is wonderful advice. Cool. Well, thank you, April, for joining me. And thank you guys if you are tuning into this. We hope that you can listen to some other podcasts. But have a great rest of the day. Bye, everybody.
Right. Thanks for having me, Carly. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to another podcast. If you guys tuned in until the very end, I have another code word for you guys. So the code word today is Kirksville, and that is spelled Kirksville. So send Kirksville to moprevention@pfh.org to be put in for a drawing to potentially win a lot of prevention goodies. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into our podcast. Remember to follow us on social media at PFH Prevention. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify, and more podcasting platforms. And make sure to email us at moprevention@pfh.org with any questions, and feel free to call us at 660-627-7404. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.